Languages are dying, and soon there won't be many left. In fact, in the article Vanishing Voices, Russ Reimer specifically states, one language dies every 14 days. By the next century, nearly one half of the roughly 7,000 languages spoken on Earth will likely disappear. Hello, my name is Vihan Garg, and in my presentation I'll be evaluating what are the effects and solutions to preserving dying languages. In my presentation, I will be first explaining why languages are dying, then I'll be explaining the main part of my topic, which is what are the effects / benefits of preserving these dying languages, and I'll finally conclude it by explaining the solution to solve the problem of languages dying. Why are languages dying? Before I explain what, as I stated earlier, my main topic, I'm going to explain what the effects are, because it is best to analyze what the problem at hand is and why this is happening, so then I can go on to and conclude to my main point. Urbanization. This is one of the main reasons why languages are dying. Danny Heber, a linguist working to revitalize endangered languages in the world, stated, if a Giku or Garama, two smaller ethnicities in Kenya, meet in Nairobi, they won't likely speak each other's mother tongue, but they'll likely speak one of the trade languages, English and Swahili. So to summarize what Danny Heber is saying, she's basically trying to say that Giku and Garama, these are two smaller minorities or ethnicities, and since the city of Nairobi is getting bigger, they would most likely move to that just because of all the jobs offered there, all the housing, and if they're gonna move to Nairobi, the fact is that since their languages are so small, the dominant language that's spoken in Nairobi is what they would most likely speak, which is causing languages to fade out, and this is a major problem. Next, I'll be analyzing the most important part in my presentation, is what will the effects be. So the first is that languages being associated with culture set the building blocks for them by allowing communication within their respective culture. And when a language dies, culture and heritage will die as well, meaning that if we preserve dying languages, we will be preserving culture and heritage along the way. And Pamela Saracote, a researcher at the University of San Francisco, mentions, the loss of language undermines a people's sense of identity and belonging, which uproots the entire community in the end. Yes, they may become incorporated into dominant language and culture that has subsumed them, but they have lost heritage along the way, stating the fact, or meaning that since languages are dying and languages being associated with culture, if the language dies, the culture along with the language will die as well, and this is a major problem. So if we preserve languages, we'll be preserving the culture, heritage, and history as well. The second effect of preserving languages is the fact that languages have a knowledge over their geographical area. Due to languages and cultures adapting to a certain area, many of these languages have expertise on the wildlife of the area, determining which herbs are edible, or knowing what herbs and plants have a medicinal value. N.J. Einfield, a professor and the chair of linguistics at the University of Sydney, mentions languages are a great deal of information to many, if not all, disciplines of human science, as well as other branches of science, such as agriculture, biology, and medicine. Arches worldwide are endangered. When they are lost, they cannot be replaced. To summarize what N.J. Einfield is saying, he's basically stating that since languages have adapted their geographical area, they know all the things about their area. Since they have the records, they've kept it, and the fact is, once the language dies, many of these records that they've kept or the knowledge they have over their geographical area won't be deciphered, or the arches will die along with the language, which is a major problem. Since I have explained why languages are dying and what the effects of preserving them are, it is best to summarize everything by explaining what are the ways we can actually stop or reduce the amount of languages that are endangered or are dying. The first way to solve this problem is through government input or government inclusion, meaning that if we raise awareness of why these languages are dying, or if governments raise awareness of why these languages are dying, it will therefore help preserve these languages. This example can be supported by an example in the Theory and Practice in Language Studies London, a peer-reviewed journal. Where in a section of it mentions that the Chinese government has put time into developing its nation's languages, and through this there's been achievements in reducing the number of endangered languages. And this is a major thing, is that if governments all governments throughout the world raise awareness of these dying languages, more people will be attuned to these problems, and therefore it will help solve the problem of languages dying. Another solution is from another person named Michael Zimmerman, who is the founder and director of the Clergy Letter Project, where he states that if college students, if they're taught about why language is dying, especially if they're going into linguistic studies, a major thing is that if they're taught why these languages are dying, they will be able to be attuned to these problems. And the fact is that since they're learning about how languages are associated with culture and all of these things, a major thing is that because of this, they'll ultimately feel the need to go and help these cultures, and that's a major thing, is that if they are helping these cultures, and if they know the cultural and linguistic differences between theirs and those, they can empathize, and therefore they can help these cultures. So in conclusion, by preserving a language, dying languages, the effects will be that we'll have knowledge over their geographical area, we'll be preserving their culture and history, and this can be solved if governments raise awareness or if college students are alert this. Thank you.
How did your research question evolve as you moved through the research process?
So the first, I was thinking of doing the effects of helping developing nations, because I thought that I could incorporate all stimulus packets, but then I realized that I couldn't find any information on that. So then I moved to what are the effects of preserving languages, and in that I was talking about lots of the information here, but then someone told me that since I have a lot on solutions, I should change it to the effects and solutions to preserving these languages, and that's what I have in the end.
What additional questions emerged from your research?
What additional questions? Is that, so one major thing was like, what will the effects be? When I was looking at that, I was able to find two really good ones that were like really well backed up by peer-reviewed journals or other sources. But the thing was that one question I had is that, are there other effects of preserving these languages? Like I thought that maybe if there are so many languages within a society, the specialty of these languages might help the economy, and I was thinking if there's things like that, but since I couldn't find any, I just stuck with the two biggest ones that were supposedly backed up.